Hey kiddos! Happy Thursday! Since March's reading month is almost over, I thought it would be fun if I read you 2 Dr. Seuss books this week. So today's story is one of my favorites. It's The Lorax by Dr. Seuss. It's a bit long, so I'm just going to go right ahead and get started. Here we go. The Lorax. At the far end of town where the grickle grass grows, and the wind smells slow and sour when it blows, and no birds ever sing excepting old crows, is the street of the lifted Lorax. And deep in the grickle grass, some people say, if you look deep enough, you can still see today where the Lorax once stood just as long as it could before someone lifted the Lorax away. What was the Lorax, and why was it there? And why was it lifted and taken somewhere? From the far end of town where the grickle grass grows? The old Onceler still lives there. Ask him, he knows. You won't see the Onceler, don't knock at his door. He stays in his lurkum on top of his store. He lurks in his lurkum cold underfoot, where he makes his own clothes out of muttered moof. And on special dank midnights in August he peeks out of the shutters, and sometimes he speaks and tells how the Lorax was lifted away. He'll tell you perhaps, if you're willing to pay. On the end of a rope he lets down a tin pail, and you have to toss in 15 cents and a nail, and the shell of a great-great-great-grandfather snail. Then he pulls up the pail and makes a most careful count to see if you've paid him the proper amount. Then he hides what you've paid him away in his snub, his secret strange hole in his grovelous glove. Then he grunts, I will call you by whisper-mophone, for the secrets I tell are for your ears alone. Slup! Down slups the whisper-mophone to your ear, and the old Onceler's whispers are not very clear, since they have come down through a snurgly hose, as he sounds as if he's had smallish bees up his nose. Now I'll tell you, he says, with his teeth sounding gray, how the Lorax got lifted and taken away. It all started way back, such a long time back. Way back in the days when the grass was still green, and the pond was still wet, and the clouds were still clean, and the song of the swami swans rang out in space, one morning I came to this glorious place. And I first saw the trees, the truffula trees, the bright-colored tufts of the truffula trees, mile after mile in the fresh morning breeze. And under the trees I saw brown barbaloots frisking about in their barbaloot suits, as they played in the shade and ate truffula fruits. From the rippleless pond came the comfortable sound of the humming fish humming while splashing around. But those trees, those truffula trees. All my life I'd been searching for trees such as these, the touch of their tufts much softer than silk, and they had the sweet smell of fresh butterfly milk. I felt a great joy, leaping of joy in my heart. I knew just what to do. I unloaded my cart. In no time at all, I had built a small shop. Then I chopped down a tree with one chop. And with great skillful skill and with great speedy speed, I took the soft tuft and I nifted a thneed. The instant I'd finished, I heard a gazump. I looked, I saw something pop out of the stump. Of the tree I chopped down, it was sort of a man. Describe him? That's hard. I don't know if I can. He was shortish and oldish and brownish and mossy, and he spoke with a voice that was quite sharpish and bossy. Mister, he said with a sawdusty sneeze, I am the Lorax. I speak for the trees. I speak for the trees have no tongues, and I'm asking you, sir, at the top of my lungs. He was very upset, and he shouted and puffed. What's that thing you've made out of my truffula tuft? Look, Lorax, I said, there's no cause for alarm. I chopped just one tree. I am doing no harm. I'm being quite useful. This thing is a thneed. A thneed's a fine something that all people need. It's a shirt, it's a sock, it's a glove, it's a hat. But it has other uses, yes, far beyond that. You can use it for carpets, for pillows, for sheets, or curtains, or covers for bicycle seats. The Lorax said, Sir, you are crazy with greed. There is no one on earth who would buy that fool thneed. But the very minute I proved he was wrong, for just at that minute a chap came along, and he thought that the thneed I had knitted was great. He happily bought it for $3.98. I laughed at the Lorax. You poor stupid guy. You can never tell what people will buy. I repeat, cried the Lorax, I speak for the trees. I'm busy, I told him. Shut up, if you please. I rushed across the room and in no time at all built a radio phone. I put in a quick call. I called all my brothers and uncles and aunts and I said, listen here, here's a wonderful chance for the whole Onceler family to get mighty rich. Get over here fast. Take a road to North Nitch. Turn left at Wee Weekend, sharp right at Stouse Stitch. And in no time at all, the factory I built, the whole Onceler family was working full tilt. We were all knitting thneeds as busy as bees, to the sound of the chopping of truffula trees. Then, oh, baby, oh, how my business did grow. Now, chopping one tree at a time was too slow, so I quickly invented my Super X hacker, which whacked off 4 truffula trees in one smacker. We were making thneeds 4 times as fast as before, and the Lorax, he didn't show up anymore. But the next week he knocked on my office door. He snapped, I'm the Lorax who speaks for the trees, which you seem to be chopping as fast as you please. I'm also in charge of the brown barbaloots who played in the shade in their barbaloot suits and happily lived eating truffula fruits. Now, thanks to your hacking my trees to the ground, there's not enough truffula fruit to go round, and my poor barbaloots are all getting the crummies because they have gas and no food in their tummies.